Some ghosts scream in anger, but some weep, not for revenge, but for the love they lost and the children they cannot forget. She is La Llorona, the weeping woman. Her voice drifts over moonlit rivers, a sound both beautiful and deadly. A cry that has lured travelers from their paths, stolen children from their beds, and chilled even the bravest hearts to the bone. If you hear her near the water at night, do not answer, for she will mistake you for the ones she lost, and she will never let you go. Welcome, my friends, to SpiritEcho, where we walk together into the shadows and bring back the stories that never die. Before she became a curse whispered on the wind, she was a girl, beautiful, they say. Not in the way of painted dolls or jeweled queens, but in the way sunlight falls on still water, making you forget everything else you meant to do. Men would stop mid-conversation when she passed. Husbands would return home with their wives' names on their lips, but Maria's face in their minds. She was the daughter of no one important, a child born into dust and heat. Her small hands blistered from carrying water jugs before she was tall enough to lift them without spilling. Her family's home was no more than rough wood and patched clay, its roof sighing under the weight of every storm. And yet, Maria moved through the village with the grace of someone who belonged somewhere else. She carried herself like a queen without a crown, not from arrogance, but from a secret hope, a longing she could never put into words. She wanted out of the fields, out of the endless dawn to dusk work that left her bones aching and her dreams fading. She wanted the silk dresses she saw on passing traders, the warm glow of city lamps at night, the taste of fruit she had only ever smelled from a distance. Then he came. He arrived like a figure from a story, a man whose presence seemed too sharp, too polished for their humble world. His horse was white as new snow, its silver tack glinting in the sun. His boots, free of dust, made every other man's shoes look like rags, and his voice, smooth and rich, carrying words that wrapped around Maria like ribbons. He saw her, really saw her, or so she believed. Where others looked at her beauty like it was a fleeting pleasure, he looked as if he had discovered a treasure meant only for him. Days turned to weeks. Roses began to appear at her door, red as her flushed cheeks when she found them. He would ride into the village just to speak with her by the river, his laughter mixing with the murmur of the water. The elders whispered warnings about city men, about fleeting affections and broken promises. But Maria only smiled. How could they know the way her heart quickened when he brushed her hand, the way his gaze made her feel chosen? And one spring afternoon, beneath the pale gold light of a sinking sun, Maria gave herself to him completely. Not just her beauty, not just her trust, but the fragile, unwritten chapters of the life she thought they would share. Her heart, her future, her name, in her mind, already matched with his. 2 sons were born beneath the burning red sun, boys with eyes the color of midnight water and hair black as the riverbanks where their mother once dreamed. Maria raised them herself. Her hands, already rough from years of labor, became cracked from washing their clothes in cold water, from kneading dough to feed them, from pulling them close on nights when the wind howled against their fragile home. Their father, the man she had given everything to, came and went like the tide, sometimes riding into the village on that same white horse, bringing coins and a fleeting smile, At first, his arms were warm. His kisses lingered on the boys' foreheads. He spoke of a home they would all share, in the city where the streets glowed after dark. But time began to chip away at those promises. His visits grew shorter. His laughter faded into polite words. When he looked at Maria, his gaze no longer lingered. It slid past her as if she were no longer the woman he had once chosen. And then, he stopped coming altogether. Maria waited. She told herself it was the weather, or the harvest, or some matter of business. But weeks turned into months. Her hope, once as full as the river in rainy season, began to dry into something brittle. She wrote him letters, each one carrying more of her heart than the last. She told him about the boys, how the eldest was already running, how the youngest had learned to laugh. But the letters returned unanswered, their silence louder than any words could be. One day, with her sons clinging to her skirts, Maria walked to town. She searched the market, the stables, the church steps, and there she saw him. Beneath the shadow of the tall stone church, he stood dressed in fine clothes, his white horse tethered nearby. But he was not alone. A woman was at his side. She was wrapped in silk the color of cream, her hair coiled in perfect dark braids. Her skin was untouched by the sun, her hands free of calluses and dirt. She smiled up at him, and he, the man Maria had given her life to, smiled back in a way he had not smiled at her in months. The boys clutched her hands, sensing something heavy in the air. Maria stepped forward, her voice caught in her throat, and in that moment, he looked at her. He saw her, and then he looked away. That night, Maria did not eat. She did not speak. The fire in her small clay hearth burned low, its last embers glowing like the eyes of some quiet, watching thing. Her sons slept beside her, their small chests rising and falling, their faces peaceful in dreams. She brushed their hair back gently, her fingers trembling, as if she already knew what was to come. Outside, the wind carried the scent of the river. At dawn, she rose without a word. The world was still draped in mist. The village roosters had not yet cried. With a child on each hip, she walked barefoot toward the water, the earth cold against her feet. The river was a place that had once held joy, where the boys had splashed and laughed, where Maria had once imagined their future. She waded in up to her knees, the current swirling around her skirts. She bathed them as she always had, ran cool water over their hair, smoothed the strands back, and braided them with the same care she had on festival days. The boys giggled softly at first, then grew quiet, lulled by the rhythm of her hands. Maria kissed them both on the forehead. She held them close, and then, in one long breath, she let them go. The river caught them in its cold arms. They did not fight, not at first, just drifted, confused as the current pulled them farther. Then one called for her, and the other began to cry, but she did not move. She stood on the bank until their small shapes were swallowed by distance, until only the ripples remained. And then the scream came. It tore from her chest like an animal breaking free, a sound so sharp it seemed to split the air. It rolled across the hills and down into the valley, rattling windows, silencing birds, waking the dead from their graves. By nightfall they found her body tangled in the reeds, her skirts heavy with river water. But her soul never left. Some say she still walks the riverbanks, her wails drifting through the mist, searching for the children she herself sent away. The villagers buried her quietly, without song or blessing. The priest said a prayer, short and strained, as if afraid her soul might hear him. Some whispered that Maria was a murderer, cursed by her own hand. Others pitied her, saying madness had hollowed her from within, leaving her a shell. But when the sun dipped behind the hills, and the river grew still, something began. At first, it was faint, a sigh tangled in the mist. Then words took shape, fragile but sharp, carried by the wind. Ay, mis hijos, my children, where are you? The sound slid over the water, curling into doorways, slipping under shutters. It found the ears of those too young to understand, luring them from warm beds toward the banks. She came to be seen, a woman in white, gliding through the fog like smoke. Her face, pale as bone, shone under the moonlight. Her hair streamed in wet tangles, black as the depths that claimed her children. Her hand shook, fingers curled as though she still clutched what she had once let go. Children began to vanish from riverbanks. Men out fishing alone would hear the unmistakable sound of footsteps in shallow water, even when the river lay empty. And always, before the cold hands of the current pulled them under, came the cry, "Ay, mis hijos." Some returned with the echo still ringing in their ears, swearing they saw her weeping just beyond the mist. Others never returned at all. To this day, they say if you hear her voice, you must turn away, cover your ears, and pray you are not the child she mistakes for her own. They call her La Llorona now, the weeping woman, and she does not forgive. The old ones say that if you walk by the river after dark, you might see her, a tall, slender figure in white, standing in the mist, her shoulders trembling, her face turned away. Her sobs will pull at you, wringing sympathy from your heart, making you forget the warnings your mother once whispered. If you call to her, she will turn, and the face you see will not be the one her lover kissed beneath the spring sun. It will be a face twisted by grief, guilt, and rage, the mask of a soul that has wept too long. She will not see you. She will see them, her lost sons. And she will reach for you with cold, shaking hands, leading you to the river as if guiding you home. There, she will hold you close, she will hush your cries, and she will drown you gently, so you will never be lonely again, just as she was. In Mexico, there isn't a child who hasn't heard her name. Every mother has whispered her warning. Don't wander too far. Be home before nightfall. Don't cry by the river, or she will come to comfort you. Some say she walks still, her bare feet silent on the muddy banks. Others say she waits, her shadow anchored to the place where she lost everything. But in every version, one truth remains. Her sorrow is eternal, for La Llorona does not rest. And when you hear her voice drifting through the night, soft at first like a lullaby, then closer, sharper like the cry of a wounded animal, you will know. She has found you. This was the story of Maria, La Llorona, the mother who weeps for children who will never answer her call. And to our new subscribers, welcome to the SpiritEcho family. To those brave souls who stayed with us until the last whisper of this tale, thank you. May you sleep soundly tonight, if you can.